The scan came back green before the traveler had finished walking through it, and Idris Bell was already moving to block the lane. I want that detail understood first, because it is the detail every cadet I have ever briefed gets wrong in their head before they see it for themselves. They imagine the human waits for the light. He does not wait for the light. The light is for us. I am Saro Vendrell, and for 19 years I have run customs and threat screening at Gate 7 of the Drenner Transit Hub. I have cleared 400,000 travelers through that gate. I have also, on 6 separate occasions, watched a human screener stop someone the gate itself had already passed, and I have learned, the hard way, every time, not to ask why before I ask who. The traveler that morning carried a maintenance permit for the lower concourse, a clean biometric signature, and a face arranged into the specific, practiced blankness of a man who has rehearsed being unremarkable. Idris had been working the line 11 minutes. He stepped sideways into the man's path, palm raised, and said one word in Doroth trade cant. Wait. The cadets behind me, 6 of them, fresh out of the academy, assigned to my station for their first live rotation, went very still. One of them, Tavak, had a hand already drifting toward her sidearm, which was the wrong reflex, and I told her so without looking away from the lane. Don't draw, I said, watch. I had told them, 2 hours earlier in the briefing room, that we would be screening alongside one of 3 humans certified for frontline customs work anywhere on the reach. I had told them this in the flat, procedural tone I use for everything, because I have learned that flat is the only register that survives contact with what comes next. I did not tell them what I am about to tell you, because I wanted them to see it before they believed it. Here is what I told them after. Once the lane was sealed, and the man's permit had come back from forensics, rewritten from forged biometric stock, layered 11 generations deep. Good enough to fool every scanner we own, because it had been built, patiently, by someone who had access to the scanner's own calibration data. I told them about the first time I saw it happen 9 years ago on a transfer platform half the size of this one. A courier with perfect paperwork and a perfectly matched gate pattern. The scanner cleared him 3 times. A human screener named Aleka Voss put a hand flat against his chest before he reached the rail and said, "Your watch is 20 seconds slow." It meant nothing to me. It meant everything to her. Humans set their own internal clock. She told me later, by breath and pulse and 100 small habits they never consciously track. And when a person is performing calm instead of feeling it, the rhythm of those habits drifts by fractions. No instrument is built to flag, because no instrument has ever needed to know what a human's resting heartbeat sounds like when it is lying to itself. The courier was carrying a directed fracture charge wired into his sternum plate. He had passed every scan we had. He had not passed Aleka. I told them about the second time, on this very concourse, 4 years later. A woman who wept on cue perfectly twice, at exactly the moments grief checks were statistically likely to be run. A human medic on routine duty noticed that her tears came from only one eye each time, always the same eye, always the same volume, like a tap turned to the same setting. He flagged her not because the tears were wrong, but because they were too right. The bioweapon vector in her sinus cavity had been engineered to read as seasonal allergy on every panel we owned. I told them about the 5th time, only 8 months ago, because it was the one that finally moved the review board. A cargo inspector with 20 years of spotless service, vouched for by 3 command-tier officers, walked his usual rounds through the lower bays while Idris worked an unrelated checkpoint 2 corridors away. He left his post mid-shift, no alarm raised, no scan triggered, and crossed 3 sealed bulkheads to reach the inspector's storage locker before anyone official had so much as flagged the man's name. When the review board asked him afterward what had told him, specifically, he said the inspector had said good morning in the wrong order, name before greeting, twice in 6 weeks. A reversal so small that no transcript analysis we ran could prove it meant anything at all. The locker held a dormant relay charge wired to the bay's main coolant line. The review board closed that file in 4 hours. They reopened the doctrine file the same afternoon, and it has not closed since. By the time I reached that account, I watched the cadet stop looking at me and start looking at Idris, who was standing exactly where he had stood for the last 6 minutes, one hand resting on the rail, watching the sealed man through the glass with an expression I have spent 19 years failing to put a name to. Not satisfaction, not alarm, something closer to a man checking a weather instrument he trusts completely and feels nothing about being right. How, Tavik finally asked. Not why. How, that I told her is the correct question, and it is the one nobody upstairs likes the answer to. The honest answer is, we do not fully know. Our own physiologists have run the data from 41 confirmed interdictions across the compact and found no single biomarker, no consistent tell, nothing that survives translation into a sensor a machine can carry. What they found instead is a pattern of patterns, that humans process the accumulated weight of 1,000 small inconsistencies below the threshold of conscious thought, and arrive at a conclusion their own bodies act on before their minds have finished composing the sentence to justify it. Ask a human screener why they stopped someone, and the honest ones will tell you they often cannot fully say. The dishonest ones will give you a clean, confident reason that turns out on review to be invented after the fact to explain a decision their gut made first. We have run their reflexes against our own threat modeling architecture 9 separate times. Our architecture wins on speed, on data volume, on tireless consistency across an 18-hour shift. It loses every single time on the one case in 400,000 that matters, the one built specifically, patiently, by someone who studied our architecture and built around it. That is the part I needed the cadets to understand before anything else. It is not that humans are better instruments than ours. It is that they are not instruments at all, and the things that hunt us have learned, generation after generation, to defeat instruments. The man in the sealed lane gave his name eventually, under questioning, along with the names of 2 transit officials who had sold him calibration windows. He did not give the name of whoever had built the biometric stock layered into his profile, because I do not believe he knew it. What he did give us, unprompted, staring at the glass rather than at his interrogator, was a single observation, offered the way a man offers a fact he has only just finished resenting. I had 4 years, he said. 4 years building that profile against your scanners. Nobody told me to build it against him. I have repeated that line in every briefing since, because it is the truest sentence anyone has ever said to me about this work, and because the cadets need to hear, from the mouth of the man it defeated, that the failure was not a fluke of the morning. It was the predictable cost of planning for the machine and forgetting the person standing beside it. Idris signed his shift log at the end of that rotation the way he always does, 3 words, nothing more, the same 3 words every time regardless of what the day held. I asked him once why he never wrote more, given what the reports demanded of everyone else on the line. He told me the report wasn't for him. It was for whoever read it next, and whoever read it next needed to know only one thing: the line held. We have since revised Gate 7 standing doctrine. Every human-certified screener on the Reach now carries override authority over a clean scan, full stop. No review board required. No delay for confirmation. A policy that cost the compact 11 months of internal argument to approve, and that no one upstairs has tried to revoke since the morning. A maintenance permit with 11 generations of forged biometric history walked itself directly into a sealed corridor because one tired man, on his 11th minute of a long shift, did not feel like waiting for the light. I still run the cadets through that footage every rotation. I still watch their faces in the dark of the briefing room when the man says his line about the 4 years. And I still end the briefing the same way every time, because it is the only honest thing left to tell them. The scanners will keep improving, so will whoever is building against them. But for as long as Gate 7 stands, there will be a human standing in that lane who does not need the light to be told what he already knows. And on the morning it matters most, that is the only certification this gate has ever truly trusted.